Hello everybody, good morning, another fine day. I've had a few requests regarding the power supply modules or filter bank and their capacitors and related rectifiers. So I just thought I'd quickly cover, and it's specifically aimed at the Avondale because I've been asked on more than one occasion now about the Avondale miniCAP 6. So I'm just going to quickly cover this is the, if it'll focus, let's try it. This is the Avondale miniCAP 6 printed circuit board. Bit of soldering, we've got some chokes, bit of resistance, and these just happen to be 100 volt 2200 microfarad 85 degree caps, and this particular one is destined to go in an Avondale Voyager amplifier of whichever amp module I choose. So if you buy the board from Avondale, from Les at Avondale, he normally supplies you with the spade connectors and 4 rectifiers and 4 of these chokes. Now these chokes come in various guises over the years from Les, and again the board itself has changed over the years in size and shape and variations slightly. It does exactly the same job. I think it's just a footprint is smaller and the components are better. I bought a ready-made one some years ago, and it came with these 12 Henry 4 amp coils, chokes. I have purchased them in the past from Les, and he supplies these. I think these are something like 15 UH, and all it is, it's an iron core with a bit of wire wrapped around the outside and terminated at the bottom like that, and they just sit in there. You could make your own air core ones. I may cover that. This is, if you can see through that, it's just a 0.7 mil enamelled copper wire wound round, in actual fact, a drill, and I think it's 3 layers deep, and that ends up at 10 microhenry, which is ideal for filtering out any noise on the power supply rails. You can put 2 in. In this particular instance, there's an R, a resistance, which is very good at knocking off noise, ripple. You don't have to use it. In some applications, I don't use them at all. This is a different application for a Class A amplifier. These are huge 33,000 microfarad capacitors, used for a Class A, and all there is some resistance between this bank and this bank. So your DC comes in here, goes through this lot of filters. These resistors knock off any noise, goes through this second set of filters, and then off to your device, whatever it may be. The old traditional way is use a pair of these dirty great big 15,000 microfarad. These come out of a, I believe it was a 250, I can't remember, and it might have been a high cap, I can't remember. But these are now waning in popularity. People are going for banks of capacitors like this and smaller microfarads, and it seems to provide a faster response to the resultant sound. There's the diodes used in the miniCAP 6, this particular miniCAP 6, are these, for those that have these boards and want to make them up. The MR852RL, you need 4 of those per miniCAP 6, and as you can see, it's just a simple matter. On this side of the PCB there's a line there, and you align the line on the diode with the line on the PCB. Simple as that. Solder it in place. If it's an earlier type or a Cap 6, not a miniCAP, they tend to use these, which is a 3-pin Schottky diode, NBR20. In this case it's a 100 CT. You can use a 200. The 100 means the DC voltage up to 100 volts. I don't know whether this will. There you go. Maybe not. So this is a 100 volt version. These are brand spanking new, but these are quite old now. I bought these a long time ago. These are the hundreds, or it could be a 200 MBR20 200 CT. You can use those, which is just a 200 volt device. This is something I produced a long time ago. These caps, T-power, what they call 4-pole cap capacitors. We've got 4 poles, so in effect there's 2 capacitors in one, and the zero, the ground, is actually filtered through the capacitor. I personally like these. Some people don't. They don't like them because of the cost. But in this case I've used, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, if it will, it's an MBR 2200 CT, Schottky diode, soft start, fast recovery, I believe they are, or very fast diodes. But this is something I made up way back 2006, and I've used them. In actual fact, I've used this in a NCC 300 application, just at 10,000 microfarad, 63 volts. I was running about 53 volts rails, and this was more than adequate to do the job, and the resultant sound was very good indeed, in my opinion. But I like them, a lot of people don't, it's personal preference. You can go on and on and on and on. Samwa, these are general purpose. These are 35 volt, 15,000 microfarad. These are for a class A 25 volt rail amplifier, and we'll actually stick that on a tester and just see. So before you test a capacitor and put your delicate test instrument on it, you just short it out, and I'm using just a little stinger, which is this just happens to be just a 4 ohm resistor, which you drop across the terminals. Sorry, the battery died. So I'm using this stinger, and you just short. This is a 4 ohm 10 watt, I think it's a 10 watt, 50 watt, sorry, resistor, and we short out the terminal to take any energy out the capacitor before we attach any of our test equipment, because the energy stored within here could just fry this in a millisecond. So you just attach a tester. If you haven't got a tester, go and buy one. I'm not going to say it's over accurate, but what they are good, very good at, is telling you whether the device is actually going to work or not. So this is testing. It takes a little while. Make sure the battery's charged up in this. So it's actually telling us, yes, this is a 15,000 microfarad device with an ESR of 0.3, volt loss 1.6%, which is fine. So that is a test of the device. Tells you the ESR. It's not particularly low, but it's pretty good. General purpose. It will do for me. So that's how you test your device. You could put a resistor in here, 4K7 I think it is, something like that. Put an LED across here and illuminate it to tell you that you've got power to it. I don't tend to do that. I've got too many LEDs lighting up my world as it is. So these are 2200 microfarad, 100 volt. This is set up for the front end supply for an NCC 200 or 220 or indeed the 300, but you can use this as the main power supply for the whole board in its entirety, but you'd uprate these somewhere between 15 and a total 15,000 microfarad to maximum of 30,000. 30,000 is, in my view, personal, is the maximum, and anywhere between 10 and 15, maybe 20,000 microfarad is perfect. So this has been just a quick brief and overview of the Avondale miniCAP 6. The CAP 6 is a larger variant of this. As I said, it uses the MBR 20 series, MBR 20, which is Scotch key types of rectifiers. There's 20 amp predominantly. So I hope that was of some help to those that have asked. So for now, this is Laverda, the implementer, wishing you all the well. It's we're starting to come out of lockdown now in the UK, and I'll see you in the next video, whichever one it's going to be. All the best for now. Bye.